I mean, there was a reason why in the second quarter when they were down, you brought Christian Braun in the game, and they played better. Like so.
Oh, you think he's talking about Porter Jr. specifically?
I think he's talking about it's a collaborative effort, though. I think he's talking about a lot of his guys. I mean, a lot of these threes that they had in Game 1 that they were missing because they came off an intense series against Boston, Game 7, quick turnaround, then traveling out to Denver, altitude, all this stuff. They missed open shots, right? So you would think that they would adjust. Michael Malone even preached after the game, hey, fourth quarter, we gave up 30 points on 60% shooting from the field, close to 50% shooting from the three-point line. This is concerning. So when I gave you the first three coverages or the first three made threes from Max Strus in the game were just bad coverages where he got open looks and you're sitting there saying to yourself, what the hell are you doing, Denver? Like, actually have a sense of urgency. Stay down in the stance. Communicate. Are you switching? Or you're not blitzing any screens when it's involved with two guards. You're switching. Why are they getting open threes? It's a point of concern.
Meantime, Jeff Green, speaking of corner threes, right? Jeff Green, Mr. Corner Three himself, had an answer to the lack of effort. Would you like to hear that, Jay and Key?
Sure.
At the post-game press conference, here is the Nuggets forward discussing their effort.
I mean, it's the finals, man. Like, our energy has to be better. We can't come out like we did, and we have to be better.
All right. So that's the truth.
I mean, they got blitzed in the first quarter.
He didn't say it with a lot of energy when he said talking about his energy needs to be better, but okay.
I mean, look, man. Once again,
that sounds like a little nerve to me. That sounds like a little nervous to me. I think they a little nervous. Going
you heard
Miami.
Nervousness, huh?
Yeah, because you could have said it differently with a little more
with your chest
authority to it, right? A little more authority to it. When Jimmy Butler and them lost in Game 1, they said it with a little more authority. Like,
I agree. You didn't say it with your chest, man. Say it like you mean it. Especially when you talk about a lack of effort. If you say that with a lack of effort, what it does is reinforce the idea, man, these dudes might not be ready.
Well, here's the thing. It goes back to the point. I mean,
see, even you right now, Jay, you sound defeated.
Deflated.
No. I was just about to make the point that Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo never questioned their defensive intensity. And they're your team's best players. So I understand what Jokic can do in the offensive end. I understand how explosive Jamal Murray is. But that's a trickle-down effect. And at the end of the day, in the history books, nobody's going to be talking about Michael Porter Jr., nobody's going to be talking about KCP or Christian Braun.
You're right.
They're going to be talking about Jokic, and they're going to be talking about Jamal Murray. And if that trickle-down effect leads them to losing this series, that's going to be bad news for Denver.
I will remind everyone, even with all that stuff, Jamal Murray started putting on a show at the end of that game, and even with Butler in his face, just missed tying the game on a three. After they were down, about 8 points? You blinked like a minute or two before that. Like Jamal Murray, I'll admit it, because I predicted the Heat in 7, I did not want them to fall down. Like whoever wins it, if it goes 7 games, I'm happy. But once you make a prediction, if you're in the media, of course you want your prediction to be true most of the time, unless you have your favorite team in it or something. But so yeah, I wanted the Heat to win that game, and it just was happening emotionally to me. Like, oh, they're gonna. I was scared as someone who predicted the Heat, and I thought, oh, they're gonna win this game. Jamal Murray had me nervous at the end of that game.
Key, let me tell you this. I was texting one of my boys who lives down in Miami, and he's obviously a Heat fan, and we go back and forth about this all the time. And I was saying, man, like they have so many of these old guys at the park that just know how to act, right? Like Kyle Lowry, it's proven in the history books, one of the world's greatest floppers of all time, flopped multiple times, got people to buy in and made calls. Like there were a lot of questionable calls by the refs too. Even like this supposed push on the and one on Aaron Gordon on Jimmy Butler's back on the baseline wasn't really a push. Like Jimmy just kind of flopped to the ground, got an and one. Like they got a lot of calls. And you wonder about, them talking about that free throw discrepancy in Game 1. They only had 2 free throw attempts. Granted, they were the attacker. They were the aggressor. But when you're the aggressor and you initiate that contact from the beginning of the game, you put yourself in a position to succeed, then you end up getting those calls.
Yeah,
right?
we forgot all about that, right, Key?
They were not aggressive if you go back to Game 1. Like you said, they just wasn't aggressive. Jimmy Butler talked about that, about how many opportunities that they passed on. They were shooting all those threes and missing those jump shots. And when you look at it, you're only going to get the fouls that's called in the paint. And there wasn't enough in the paints to get enough fouls. But in game 2, out the gate, they changed the whole outlook on the way the refs was calling it.
Also, man, it happens when you shoot 49% from the three-point line.
It's so
you
funny.
made 17 threes, man. It's
so funny how, like, there's just so many themes and storylines and what's talked about that's the first time we've touched on it. That's a very good call, Jay. What's already forgotten is that, or can get glossed over, is that they only shot 2 free throws in game 1. As a team, that's absurdly low. Absurdly low. Noah, you kept pointing out, Jay, no one in the starting 5, no one in the starting lineup had a single free throw, had a single trip to the line. It's crazy. So that was adjusted in game 2.
Yo.
What's that, Key?
It's crazy, yo.
It's crazy, yo. But it is like, and it's funny how the question after game 1 was, they're missing a lot of open threes. Is there something they can do to put themselves in a better position to hit those open shots? And, Jay, you talked about they can be more aggressive, and they were from the beginning, and that's probably not a coincidence that now they started to hit those open shots.
You have Kevin Love as a starter. Kevin Love takes on the responsibility of guarding Aaron Gordon. It allows Jimmy Butler to then guard Jamal Murray, who is he's the head of the snake, right? So you play Jokic in single coverage.
Well,
Go ahead,
Steve
Jokic.
Kerr told Draymond Green on the podcast, head of the snake, that looks like Jokic is the head of the snake, but maybe it's really Jamal Murray, and so that's the head you got to cut off.
Why? I said this on Friday. I said Jamal Murray, head of the snake on Friday.
I'm just saying Steve Kerr pointed that out.
But I pointed it out on Friday.
But once he says it, it means now even though you did it first,
see, that's the
but
problem.
somehow he
you
did
don't
it.
key to hearing and listening.
Now win this thing, you say, hey, Keyshawn, JWill, and Max, you were listening to that show. That's my show. You could hear Heat and 7. That's the only
We've been telling
show
you that all along.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both sides. I like it.
We're building.
Good people. Nope.
He's catching on. I'm trying to put you up on game.
Nope.
All right. If a coach calls out his team, numerous times throughout the year, is it still his fault if the team doesn't come out with effort when they need to? And furthermore, is he talking specifically about Michael Porter Jr., Jay, do you think? And is Michael Porter Jr. just hampered with a kind of back that won't let him do the kind of things he needs to do?
I'm not using the back. It's NBA Finals. And I love MPJ. I mean, to me, it's a lot of that effort that I feel like for Denver at times, certain players, their defense is predicated on their offense. So it's a great psychological strategy if you're Eric Spoelstra. If you continue to play the Joker in single coverage and the Joker is doing his thing, and then certain players who are used to playing off double teams, the ball being rotated, them getting a lot of shots, right? In that style of offense, now their shots are limited, and their defense is predicated on their offense. You tell me what happens then. That's what happens.
Key, what about you? In your experience in the NFL, if a coach is on it about effort, but the team or key components of the team don't produce it in the moment of truth, is that on the coach or the players?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Because if the coach recognizes that the hustle isn't there, then it's up to him to get them to pay attention to give maximum effort. It's also on the players to police themselves as a team. Whoever that captain is, whoever that leader is, Jay knows this, it's up to them to say, man, what are we doing?
I mean, I know the Belichick teams, and I've been on Belichick for not winning playoff games without Tom Brady, but one thing is his teams always seem to give effort. I never look at the Patriots and think, boy, that effort wasn't there.
Well, here's a little segment called Unacceptable, okay? So Michael Porter Jr. was being guarded by Kevin Love last night. Mm-hmm. Kevin Love's damn near my age. Michael Porter,
and height, by the way. Kevin Love is not like 6'10".
It's not like Kevin Love
like 6'7".
is in the prime with his lateral speed, okay?
Right.
Michael Porter Jr. last night, 0 free throw attempts. The game 1, 2 free throw attempts, Key. Last game against the Lakers, because I was in game 4, 2 free throw attempts. Game 3, 2 free throw attempts. Game 2, 2 free throw attempts. Game 1, 0 free throw attempts. And in the 6 games against the Phoenix Suns, Game 6, 2 free throw attempts. Game 5, 0 free throw attempts. Game 4, 2, 1, 1, 0. Come on, man.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content,
subscribe to ESPN Plus.